Mr. Speaker, after 9 years of NDP Liberals, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and time is up. The Auditor General reported 186 conflicts of interest and over $400 million in misspent funds that went to Liberal insiders. The Minister of Environment's former employer, Cycle Capital, received $250 million from the Green Slush Fund, all while over half of Canadian small businesses are losing money year over year. Why is it okay for Liberals to enrich their friends while small businesses are struggling to stay afloat?
The Honourable Minister of Innovation.
You know, Mr. Speaker, what's not okay is for the Conservative to repeat the same thing time and time again when they know it's false, Mr. Speaker. Exactly. Because the reality, and let's talk about facts, Mr. Speaker. The entity they're talking about was created in 2001. It was managed by the Conservative for 9 years, Mr. Speaker. The CEO of that organization is gone.
The Liberals have been in power for 20 out of the last 30 years, and they still have the audacity to try and blame Conservatives.
Canadians, those who work at this organization, Mr. Speaker, we're going to stand for democracy, we're going to stand for rights, and we're going to stand for the work that needs to be done by this House, Mr. Speaker.
You can't stand for nothing if you're always on your knees, Chihuahua.
From Mission. The Honourable Member from Mission Mashpee, Fraser Canyon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
They needed the mic.
9,037 businesses from May to June 2024 and 6,331 declared insolvency year over year. The closures we're witnessing right now haven't been this large since the pandemic when the entire country was shut down. So when Canadian entrepreneurs and workers are struggling, business is still booming for Liberal insiders.
Yep.
Why is the Prime Minister hiding behind the Green Slush Fund documents, and when will he release them to Parliament?
The Honourable Minister.
We're going to continue to support small and medium-sized businesses. We are empowering entrepreneurs. We're increasing the lifetime capital gains exemption. We're investing in Canadian startups. We're boosting government procurement for small and medium-sized businesses and supporting Indigenous entrepreneurs as well. And Mr. Speaker, it gives me the opportunity to also announce here that we've negotiated agreements with both MasterCard and Visa to lower those interchange fees by up to 27%, which takes place as of October 19th of this month. We'll continue to support small businesses, Mr. Speaker. Thank you so much.
The Honourable Member from Perth Wellington.
After 9 years of these NDP Liberals, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and time is up. Mr. Speaker, you yourself ruled that this government violated an order of this House to turn over evidence to the police for a criminal investigation into the latest Liberal scandal. The government's refusal to accept your ruling has paralysed Parliament, pushing aside our work to address the doubling of housing costs, food inflation, crime, and chaos. Will the Minister end the cover-up, give the proof to the RCMP so we can get Parliament working again for all Canadians?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Mr. Speaker, what the members opposite are saying is not true. Your ruling was very clear. Because of the unprecedented nature of that motion, it should go to the Procedure and House Affairs Committee for study. The RCMP and the Auditor General raised their extreme discomfort with the Conservative motion. Canadians should be concerned because the Conservatives are going after whoever they hold a political grudge against, and this could be them next. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
This week, the Honourable Chiefs from the Prince Albert Grand Council are in Ottawa fighting for their people. In their communities, overcrowding and poor quality housing is leading to mental, physical and social crisis. Tuberculosis, a disease that has run rampant during the residential school time, is on the rise again in Indigenous communities. Children are dying. Why has the government continued the decades-old Liberal and Conservative tradition of refusing to provide the needed funding to end this cycle?
The Honourable Minister for Indigenous Relations Services.
Speaker, every step of the way over the past 9 years, this government has worked with First Nations leaders, Indigenous leaders across the country to restore rights and to restore self-determination.
Bro, they freaking deemed it not their responsibility to provide clean drinking water to Indigenous communities.
On mental health,
and I showed a video yesterday on MSB of brown water today, well, yesterday. In Indigenous communities because of these freaking wacko liberals.
After 9 years of this NDP Liberal government, taxes are up, costs are up,
crime is up, time is up.
The corruption of this Liberal government knows no bounds. The Liberal Minister of Employment has continuously misled Parliament about his alter ego, the other Randy. Text from his business partner reference a Randy, and we now know there was no other Randy involved in the fraudulent medical supply company while he was a sitting member of Cabinet. When will the minister come clean with Canadians, end this charade, and resign?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Ethics Commissioner has looked into this matter 3 times and each time has confirmed he has no concerns. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Edmonton West.
Mr. Speaker, after 9 long years of this Liberal NDP government, taxes are up, costs are up, corruption is up, and apparently the amount of Randys is up. The Minister of Employment has been accused of violating the law by engaging in improper business dealings with his corrupt, scandal-plagued partner. The minister claimed he wasn't involved in this business, but was later forced to admit that
no one's found the other Randy yet.
He admit he is the other Randy and that he violated the law. When will the minister come clean?
Put on a shirt, Randy.
We all know.
Cheeseburger Randy.
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House.
Mr. Speaker, as I just said, the Ethics Commissioner has looked into this matter 3 times and each time has confirmed he has no concerns. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member from Calgary Shepherd.
9 years of this NDP Liberal government, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and time is now up for them.
God damn, they need new friggin' talking points.
With his business partner during an alleged $500,000 fraud linked to the other Randy. But phone records and text messages now show the complete opposite. It seems the minister made a habit of bending the rules and using his influence to benefit his business partner. The same business partner that you, Speaker, have now found is in contempt of Parliament. So it's really simple. Will the minister admit that the charade is up and then admit that he broke the law and confirm that he is in fact the other Randy?
Hear, hear. Hear, hear.
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In case my honourable colleague didn't hear my previous answer, as I stated, the Ethics Commissioner has looked into this matter 3 times and each time has confirmed he has no concerns. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member from Wellington, Halton Hills.
The government's investigating the government.
PFLP is a listed terrorist entity. Fact 2, Khaled Barakat was a member of PFLP when he founded Sammy Doon in 2012, and his wife Charlotte Cates incorporated Sammy Doon under Canadian law in 2021. Fact 3, under Section 8305 of the Criminal Code, any entity that has knowingly acted on behalf of, at the direction of, or in association with a listed entity can be listed. The facts are clear. The government's position is not. Why hasn't the government listed Sammy Doon as a terrorist entity under the criminal code?
The Honourable Minister for Public Security.
Speaker, the government's position has in fact been very clear. Decisions around listing terrorist entities are made based on the advice of security and intelligence officials. My colleague, the Parliamentary Secretary, made it clear yesterday. I have instructed the security and intelligence agencies that report to us to do on an expedited basis a review of these matters. And I've said, Mr. Speaker, we hope to come back to Canadians with information very soon.
After 9 years, the NDP Liberals, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, grocery prices are up, and time is up. A year ago, the Liberals promised to lower food prices by Thanksgiving. All Canadians got were empty promises and empty stomachs. Now they're going to pay $80 for a turkey this Thanksgiving. Food inflation in Canada is at 37% higher than the United States. Food security is up 111% thanks to the NDP Liberal carbon tax. Will the NDP Liberal government axe the carbon tax so Canadians can afford a Thanksgiving dinner?
And this is why we love John Rustad, who's running for the Premier of BC, because he's going to cut the carbon tax in BC.
Shawinigan, I don't know where he's shopping for his turkey, Mr. Speaker. I'll invite him to my house in Shawinigan. He'll find out it's a bit cheaper. But, Mr. Speaker, the reality is what is this government has done, and it's said by all the economists in Canada, Mr. Speaker, what we've done, which is the most significant thing, is to reform competition in this country, Mr. Speaker, to have less concentration, more choice for consumer, which stabilize price, Mr. Speaker. And in addition, they should celebrate. We now have a grocery code of conduct in this country, Mr. Speaker, to bring more fairness and stabilize price in the country.
The honourable member from Foothills.
I don't think many Canadians find the minister making fun of their struggles much of a joke. That's right. Because the reality is, for many Canadians, buying that turkey for Thanksgiving is just a dream. The Liberal government has made the Canadian dream a food bank nightmare. 1 million Canadians just in Ontario went to a food bank last year, up 25%. And now Canadians doctors are raising the alarm on scurvy in Canada because Canadians can't afford basic nutrition. Will the Liberal NDP government make the Canadian dream come true and call a carbon tax election?
The fact that people can't have turkey, which is like the staple on Thanksgiving, it just breaks my heart.
Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, I'm proud that in 2016 we introduced the Canada Child Benefit. Mr. Speaker, there's 4.3 million families and over 7 million children across this country who receive this benefit each and every month. That's $547 a month for parents with children ages 6 to 18, or $648 each month. I got to speak recently with a new mom named Madeline who shared how impactful this is for her family. The position the Conservatives have...
Mr. Speaker, the government has all sorts of excuses why it won't provide documents to this House or to the RCMP about the $400 million spending scandal. They falsely claim it would violate privacy and that it would negatively impact the RCMP's investigation and that it would violate charter rights. The Constitution is clear. Parliament is supreme. Parliament has the lawful authority to order the production of documents. So why is this government consistently trampling on the constitutional authority of this House?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, that was some incredible doublespeak from my colleague across the way. It's actually the RCMP who has said this, and I quote, "The RCMP's ability to receive and use information obtained through this production order and under the compulsory powers afforded by the Auditor General Act in the course of a criminal investigation could give rise to concerns under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. There is significant risk that the motion could be interpreted as a circumvention
She has to read her notes, eh?
processes and charter protections. For a party that claims to respect the police, they certainly don't respect police independence."
Exactement.
The Honourable Member from Wellington, Halton Hills.
Mr. Speaker, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms also includes Sections 3, Sections 4, and Sections 5, which is about the democratic rights of Canadians. And Canadians have the right to be democratically elected on the floor of this House, and the majority of this House has demanded the production of these documents related to the $400 million spending scandal. We did the same thing with lab documents. Why does this government consistently ignore the democratic wishes of the people's elected representatives and deny this House?
There we go. We got some W's in the chat for that one. Look at that, folks.
The Honourable Minister of Justice and Attorney
Speaker,
General.
I have a lot of respect for that member opposite because he usually stands up for institutions, including this place. What he's not standing up for right now is for the independence of law enforcement in this country. The independence of law enforcement is pivotal. And what my colleague was emphasizing is that usually my friends opposite are constantly listening to the police. This is what the Deputy Commissioner of the RCMP said on the news yesterday. It's a very dangerous situation. The rule of law is predicated upon a separation between what Parliament is doing and what law enforcement agencies are doing. In this case, the RCMP. We're listening to those RCMP commissioners and former commissioners. I wish the member opposite would do the same.
The Liberals are just greasy, man.
Calgary Heritage.
Mr. Speaker, for years they've known Sami Doon as a known terror affiliate. On October 7th, they chanted, "We are Hezbollah, we are Hamas, death to Canada, death to America, death to Israel." They incited hate. They incited terror. They burned our flag. Why does our foreign minister fail to act when Canada is threatened? Well, she told Tom Mulcair it's about the demographics of her voters. Mr. Speaker, why does this minister put partisan politics over Canadian national security interests?
There you go. They don't want to split their votes.
Order. The Honourable Minister for Public Security.
Mr. Speaker, our government is deeply concerned about the national security interests of Canadians. That's why we support the law enforcement agencies and the security agencies to do this important work. That's why we rely on their advice to decide when the government, under the Criminal Code of Canada, should list a terrorist entity. Mr. Speaker, good news. These security agencies are constantly reviewing a whole series of organizations to determine if the threshold has been met. I recently talked to them as late as this morning, and I'm very confident that we'll have some important news very quickly.